Halifax, where you're travelling to, is a very dynamic city for the region. It's the capital of Nova Scotia, and it's also the largest city within the Atlantic Canada provinces. It's also a city which is a young town. It's a university town, a lot of students, so plenty of action and plenty of things to see. And of course, it's also where the relatives and friends of those who were involved in the Titanic disaster 100 years ago, many survivors ended up going there, and also a great many people are buried there.
Nova Scotia is almost an island, so we have a really deep and rich seafaring history, and even though we're a small province in Canada, we actually have Canada's oldest and largest maritime museum. For a lot of tourists, and ironically enough, a lot of cruise ship passengers, Titanic is how they've heard about us. We like to remind them that we're the birthplace of Samuel Cunard, who invented the modern ocean liner and launched the Cunard line, for example. Shipwrecks, and especially Titanic, really put us on the map, so to speak.
The city was in deep mourning in 1912, not only because of all of the people who had died, because of the many bodies being brought back to Halifax for burial, but one of the city's favorite sons, George Wright, had also lost his life on the Titanic. He was an extremely popular man in the city, well-liked, well-loved, very philanthropic, and his loss was taken with very hard by the citizens of the city.
One of the greatest restaurants and one of the most traditional and one of the most historic restaurants is the Five Fishermen. What great surroundings as well. That's before we've even got to the history.
Originally, it was built as a school for the large church across the street. It's actually the oldest public school in Canada, and many years operated as a school. And just after its life as a school, it turned into an ASCAD, the first university here in Nova Scotia, and then it turned into, remarkably enough, a morgue for a long time. And during both the Halifax explosion as well as the sinking of the Titanic, this was the only morgue in Halifax. So a lot of souls have passed through these four walls.
If you have time, absolutely, I recommend taking it's about a 45-minute drive to see the famous Peggy's Cove, which is a fisherman's village, very quaint, and pretty much depicts what started us.
What makes our museum special, our kind of claim to fame amid the various Titanic exhibits around the world, is we have the world's largest collection of wooden objects from Titanic. When the ship sank, it split in half, and all that beautiful carved woodwork floated to the surface and was found with all the bodies when the ships in Halifax were searching for victims of the sinking. So we have some spectacularly beautifully carved pieces. The one in front of me is a big archway, 1.5 meters across.
You do get the small town feeling, even though it is a fairly big city. And being in this business, I find this happens a lot. I could be out shopping, doing whatever, and you always run into people you know, all the time.
We leave our doors unlocked, and, people that come here are totally amazed by nobody touching things and stuff. So we're pretty lucky to live where we live.
And they tell me that they've seen fin whales, minke whales, and a blue whale out here this year so far. So that's pretty impressive.
Tell me what we saw today. We saw a couple of different types of whales.
Yeah, we had a brief glimpse of a minke whale, and we had 2 adult humpbacks. And both of these whales are regular visitors here to the Bay of Fundy. So a whale called Foggy and a whale called Flamingo. So they're both regular visitors here to the Bay of Fundy.
Tell me about your life. I mean, this has been it, hasn't it? By the seashore, digging for clams. Absolutely. Your dad did the same.
Born and raised free, man. It's nothing else quite like it. It's hard work, but what's in this world that is not hard work that's not worth having?
What's the best thing about your life? Is it the tranquility and the fact you're left alone to just get on with it?
Absolutely. And I like the music, and I like meeting people. And this is what I am. This is what I love to do. It's morning. Let's stand down.
Well, I think Canada is one of those countries which does cater for everybody. You've got everything there. It's a good destination. It gives value for money. Hotels are great. The facilities are first class. Certainly, if you've been out for the day in the countryside, you can come back to the city for a good night's entertainment, good food, excellent dinner, brilliant restaurants.